What's up, everybody, and welcome back to HOA MMA. AJ, how's everything going for you?
Whoa. On the one hand, it's fucking freezing over here. Waking up to -4, 5 degrees Celsius over here because I know how y'all on like to use the Fahrenheit, but it's still fucking cold over here. But I can't complain too much because I've been smoking on that Eagles and Cowboys pack, man, because them boys got sent packing
Yeah,
home
that
last
was rough.
last basic weekend. And commiserations to you and your Browns. You
We
just ran
sucked.
you ran into like a buzzsaw because
Yeah,
DJ Stroud is him. Like he's like legit good. He's all
legitimately.
world, but it's been fun. I feel like the playoffs have been quite interesting so far, and it's setting up for a good second round as well, especially in the AFC. You got Mahomes against Allen free now in the playoffs, and then you got Stroud against Lamar, and and Pack, and on the other side, Packers Niners could be a very interesting game as well. So, been enjoying my NFL playoffs over the past week or so. What about you, man? Have you finally managed to drown your sorrows yet, or are you still feeling it quite a bit? Is it still rough?
Um, it's still really bad. I did not if you lose by like a last second field goal or something, it doesn't feel as bad. But to look completely unprepared and just like you didn't belong really hurts a lot more. Like I'd almost rather not make the playoffs than just not even show up at all. So that was rough. Cavs have been starting to play a lot better, so that's helped. Now that I can focus a little bit more on basketball, and then college basketball also helps take away with that because Dayton's ranked and they're playing really well, so that's helped a little bit too. And also, we're getting right into we just got out of award season for movies. Now we're getting into the swing of a new year for movies. So that's something else to look forward to. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going on right now to take my mind off of crappy Browns football. So I am excited about where we're going
Speak,
next.
speaking of which, what's the one movie you're looking forward to this year? And I'll say mine,
Well,
which basically
yeah.
isn't, which obviously isn't Dune Part Two. But I'm interested to see what's the one movie that you've got your calendar marked around for?
Besides Dune 2, that's a good one. There's a lot of options this year. A lot of options. Besides Dune 2, I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with Deadpool versus Deadpool 3.
Mhm.
Because I think we're gonna get something really special there in terms of um, Wolverine back on the screen one more time. We're gonna get some from rumors and things. We're gonna get some variants of Wolverine, and then you get Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool has been stellar. I mean, he's been an awesome character, and I know based on all the information, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are really really good friends. So I know
Yeah.
they're going to really pour their hearts into this movie, and more than most people how I've been about Marvel late recently,
Mhm.
and I think this movie could be an important piece in setting the tone going forward for Marvel projects.
Mhm.
And so I'm hopeful in more ways than one. I expect it to be a badass action, um, you know, probably a little bit darker version of superhero movies, which I'm always appreciative of. And I think this could also count as a reset and a look forward to where Marvel maybe gets back and starts kicking butt again, like they were for so long before last couple of years. So, what is your pick for 2024?
My non-Dune 2 pick would be Megapolis, so Francis Coppola's movie that's about to come out. Just just from everything that I've kind of seen about or read about so far, it's very interesting to me. It's going to
Yeah,
be nice to see how he tackles like a sci-fi kind of movie. with
Mhm.
someone of his like pedigree. If anyone doesn't know who he is, he literally made The Godfather and Godfather Part Two, which
Yeah.
which especially the second one, that's probably might be the best movie that I've personally ever seen in my personal opinion.
Mhm.
So comes esteemed director. So I probably would say that one, firstly followed by The Kingdom of the Planet of the
Yeah,
Apes. Follow on one of probably the better trilogies in recent times.
for
Be
sure.
interested to see how that kind of goes along as well. So, but we're not here to talk about movies. If you want to hear us talk about movies more, you need to follow your brand new page, which has still
Yeah.
got that working title. So definitely watch out for that, guys. But we're here to talk about fights and PFL. I finally pulled the card that we were kind of looking forward to the most. PFL versus Bellator. We got the champions against each other. What do you think about that card so far?
So based on everything I've seen, this feels like we're finally setting everything up. We know that Bellator's going into PFL, all that kind of stuff. They're joining together. This feels like the culmination of that. So far, the card, I mean, it's really good. They've got a lot of names. I mean, for UFC fans, you see Thiago Santos versus Yoel Romero. You're going to get to see AJ McKee back in the octagon. You're getting a guy like Aaron Pico on the prelims. I mean, it's pretty loaded. I mean, and then Clarissa Shields is back. I always like watching her because of her boxing background. It's loaded, man. What are you thinking?
It makes sense. Like it's ever since ever, ever since we found out that PFL have bought Bellator and they're going to keep the Bellator name for at least a year, we both kind of spoke about we're probably going to get this champion versus champion card to kind of just one streamline the belts a bit. So kind of just like well, we also don't know if they're going to like unify the belts yet, but you would imagine that champions face against each other. We have under like one banner, one basic champion. Of course, how that work out if they're still gonna have the Bellator name for at least a year. We don't know how that's gonna work out. So I would imagine if they don't unify the belts, it's probably just is gonna be the coming out party of look, we are here. We've obviously bought them out now. We're just going to showcase the best against the best. You know, the first big card of the year kind of just sets the tone. Um, and there's some very interesting fights. The only really negative or thing that I wish I would have seen would be to see Patchy Mix on there.
Yes.
Unfortunately, PFL don't have a bantamweight division, which is kind of what Bellator's kind of like fixed that issue with. But it would really been cool to see him on this card against someone. But you've got Pinedo against Pitbull. You've got Impar against Johnny Elblin, which is a very, very good fight. That's probably one of the fights I'm looking forward to the most. Jackson against Magomed, enough a really really good fight as well.
Mhm.
It's going to be very interesting to see. And again, like you said, like you got AJ McKee, you got Aaron Pico, who are not even on the main card. So this is definitely probably one of the better cards that PFL can obviously do, and it's
Mhm.
going to be interesting how they actually deliver and how fans receive it as well. Because it, if this card goes well, that really puts them in a really good spot for the rest of 2024 and obviously move forward because we know they have big plans. They've been backed by Saudi as well. A lot of influx of cash coming in.
Yeah.
It's now we're finally going to find out exactly how PFL is going to look and if they can really compete against
Yes.
against the UFC. So it's I'm looking forward to it. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I'm really really looking forward to it. It's
Um, Question for you, looking at the card. Do you think they probably originally thought Francis was going to main event this?
nah. I don't. I can see because France is part of that like super fight league. I would imagine he'll be. it'll probably be somewhere towards the end of the year where they have Francis,
Well,
Jake
I'm
Paul.
saying
What's the
before he
name?
signed the Joshua fight, do you think it was an idea at least?
Nah,
Okay.
I I would imagine that they have this card as this, Bellator against PFL, because if you have Francis on there, Francis is because of ever since he fought Tyson Fury, especially, he would have overshadowed the showcase of this is Bellator joining up with PFL. I feel this card is kind of like perfect in the sense that we've obviously acquired Bellator now. Let's
Mhm.
showcase why we actually brought them over. Whereas Francis is probably going to be like their big pay-per-view star,
Mhm.
and he's in that like super fight league as well as I just mentioned. I would imagine they do him, Jake Paul, who signed as well, which
Yeah.
brings another audience, and Kelly Harrison on this big mega super fight pay-per-view blockbuster kind of card for them, probably towards like end of the year. So at least that way PFL have two big casts to kind of like bookend like the 2024 with.
Okay,
Um
that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah,
I just I do understand you want to showcase both sides, but you also want it to be a financial success, and that's where I thought he would come in. But yeah, that makes sense to me. Like you said, massive card, really really big showcase for both sides. Um, AJ, let's jump ahead though. We had this past weekend we had uh, Fight Night Ankaleav versus Walker 2. Um, let's talk about that card. What on the undercard really caught your eye?
Joshua Van, like the same thing I said last
Yes.
week. Very impressive. He was patient, and that's kind of what I like about him. He kind of did what I said about him last week. He was very patient in his approach, but like he wasn't not doing anything. He was patient. Just
Right.
he was still being aggressive. He was still moving forward, but he was waiting. He was waiting to see when there were gaps there to be made, and when he went and saw his gap, and he saw that, okay, now that I have you hurt, he was methodical. He was swarming him, but he wasn't rushing in. He wasn't being reckless. He was being like methodical, and that was a very impressive win for him. Again, he's only 22 years of age. He's 9-1, well 10-1 now. So
Yeah.
you would definitely imagine him to really make a push and probably be that breakout at 125 pounds. And I can't talk about the prelims without talking about Gene Silverman, because that walkout felt like that was going on forever.
It was a
But
long. It was long.
but the guy showed up. The guy showed up and showed out. Very, very impressive. He caught a really good promo afterwards as well.
Hmm.
You can imagine that, if he strings another win together, you will see him on a big card on like the prelims at some point. He has that kind of like, again, it's really early right now, but given his personality, if he can put those kind of performances, and especially when he has such a like fun style as well,
Yes.
he could be someone who could become a quick fan favorite.
Right. And with his ability to talk on the microphone, that really helps. Like you mentioned, yeah, that's a guy that we could possibly see a lot more of going forward. Um, yeah, undercard, a lot of finishes, a couple decisions in there, but everything else was a TKO. So 4 TKOs, 2 decisions on the prelims. A good start for the night.
Definitely.
Let's jump into the main card.
One thing before we go
Yep.
onto the main card, I forgot. Basharat, I kind of circled that fight with him and Lapalus. Lapalus made it hard, but Basharat impressed me a lot.
Yes.
It's all easy being undefeated and you kind of like run through people. How do you handle when you fight against better better people who are going to won't make the fight as basically easy? And Lapis asked a lot of questions, and Basharat passed him with flying colors, especially when you're in 135 pounds, which is probably the most deepest division in terms of talent, even
Right.
basically outside of the top 15. Like, that kind of win kind of it kind of shows you that this guy is legit, and he could be someone knocking on the door
Right.
around top 15 around obviously this time next year. So I just wanted to point that out. That was a very impressive showing out for him.
Yeah, good call on that one. Very, very impressed with his abilities in a very tough fight, like you mentioned. Yeah, now we'll jump ahead to the main card at heavyweight. Waldo Cortez Acosta beats Andrei Orlovsky. Um, wasn't great by any means. What did you think of this one?
I mean, Costa looked good, but again,
Mhm.
you're fighting against a very old Andrei Orlovsky,
Mhm.
which even now at his age, he's still very dangerous. If you kind of walk in and thinking, okay, I'm gonna go in there and I'm just gonna get like a name
Right.
on my resume. He's savvy enough to really upset you um, in that regard. But not Paulo Costa. Acosta was basically good, very impressive, very very fast on his feet.
Yep.
If you're going to showboat, you're really gonna have to back it up. You should really
Yeah.
get like a finish, if I'm being honest. And you're not going to do that when she face against ranked opponents, which is kind of where Acosta's going to be trending basically into, because heavyweight doesn't really have a very deep talent
Right.
when it comes to fighters just at that weight class. But it's all good doing it against Orlovsky and doing it against a name. But if you're doing it against someone who is around your age and as dangerous as you are going to get yourself in trouble. But nothing to really take away from him and his performance
Yeah.
because he was good. But I want to see him against someone who is, on a similar level to him. Um, I I would like to see him face against Mick Parkin.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good fight. Yeah, I mean, he got the win, a little the showboating and stuff like that. He finishes with a unanimous decision. It was close. Good solid win over a name, but yeah, he's gonna have to really start backing up the rest of that, those actions with his fighting. Let's move ahead though. Bruno Ferreira with the TKO on Phil Hawes in the first round. Bruno Ferreira looks like he's an issue going forward.
Man, he was quite tentative. If you look in the first round, he wasn't really letting like his hands go. He was going for quite a wrestling heavy approach, which I was
Hmm.
a bit shocked by, because you would think that you probably want to wrestle against someone like Phil Hawes, who kind of comes from that kind of background.
Right.
He was really. I felt it was kind of as if like after being undefeated, and when you lose in the way that he lost, when you basically got put out, you know, I feel like he was gonna go more for the safety first approach. Let me just go out there and get the win and kind of get that willing feeling back.
Yeah.
But then once once he did start to slowly let his hands go, and he saw Phil Halls is there to be hit, and he kind of got a bit more confident, and he really started to like commit on his shots. That's when you saw the Bruno Ferreira who put out Robocop around this time last year up in Brazil. Very impressive finish. It was like, to me, like he literally put Full Halls out. He literally put him on him in that
Oh
sequence.
yeah, it
It
was
was, it
bad.
was brutal. Phil Halls needs to really take some time now, because these are 3 times in a row where like you've been absolute, like it hasn't just been okay. I've been cool, I've been flurried, and the rest pulled away
Yeah.
before anything bad happens. You've been put out to sleep bad, like, and it's not really good for the body, and it's probably not good for the mind when you're getting like knocked unconscious like that,
Yeah.
you know, and
Four
who
of his last five have been first round
finish it.
knockout.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's been
it's,
finished in the
it's,
first round.
it's exactly, and that's very, very worrying. And the UFC is a shark tank, regardless if I think people need to remember, okay, people go, okay, people who are not within the top 15, okay, those guys are not good.
Right.
The fact that you are in the UFC, if you look at the broad scope of MMA in general, you are a very, very few select people who can compete at that level, regardless if you're ranked or not. But if you're getting KO'd like that and finished brutally, especially early on, eventually, eventually people are going to look at, do you really belong at this level? And I feel like Phil Halls just needs to take, he's probably going to have to take a break, and
Yeah,
he's probably going to have to think about, okay, what do I need to change in order to, stop basically getting knocked out cold every time. So I'm kind of worried for him, but Bruno Ferreira, he lived up to his name. He's the Hulk, because whenever he does get going, he literally just he smashes people. So all credit to him.
definitely. All credit to Bruno Silva. Let's jump up. Ricky Simone versus Mario Batista. Mario Batista in the second and third round was putting on a show against Ricky Simone, who was ranked at the time really, really good fighter. But damn, was Mario Batista not excellent in that second and third round. Give me some thoughts on the fight from you.
He proved me wrong. He literally proved me wrong, because I thought Ricky Simone was just going to be too much for him. If you look at if you look at both guys and
Yeah.
look at their skill set, I thought Ricky Simone was going to be better all round. He's been against better opponents. Coming off a loss when, like, you literally got battered against someone in Song Yadong, I thought, Ricky Simone is going to go out there, and he's going to remind people that, this is basically why I'm ranked, and this is, and I still have a lot to give, and he still does. But like you
Oh
said,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in round two, something in Batista's mind just like switched. He just flipped the switch, and he looked fucking amazing. Like, he put on an absolute clinic. It wasn't even close. Um, what a way. And I'm quite happy for him in the sense that, coming off the last fight, even though he won, people were like screaming, okay, Black Sheep got robbed. And I'm one of those people that
Yeah.
basically said that. For you to go to for you to go for you for you for you to go into your next fight, and to go out and perform like that. Not that only shots a lot of people up,
Yep.
and you prove a lot of people wrong, like myself included. But it kind of gives you that good of, like, that validation of, I belong now. I
Yeah.
belong. Like, if I can beat someone like that, I belong. Amazing. Like, probably performance of the night for me.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely performance of the night. Like you said, he in those we got to see a nice takedown from Ricky Simone in the first round. He wobbled Mario there in the first round, but after that, that was a nice outing for Mario Batista. Performance of the night for sure. Now he's ranked in the bantamweight division. I liked his call out of Rob Font. I thought that was solid. He didn't go crazy with it. He said what he needed to say and got out of there. Really impressive night from Mario Batista. Now let's move on to Jim fucking
Miller.
Miller. Oh my
Leg
God,
kicks,
Jim
man.
Miller.
Leg kicks, man.
Uh, just super impressive. Gets the sub on Gabriel Benitez. Now we're gonna see Jim Miller at UFC 300 against Bobby Green. But let's talk about that fight. Jim Miller, 2 for 2 on takedowns, controlled the fight for about 4 minutes. You mentioned leg kicks. He, based on just the stats, landed 20 of them, tore up Benitez's left leg. Just uber impressive night from Jim Miller. What are your thoughts on that?
He's been doing what Jim has been doing in his past couple of fights. He puts on savvy vet performances, and he's done that for a very, very long time now. He was smart, he was literally chopping at that leg. He was chopping at that base because he knew, okay, cool. One, it helps him control range, and that could have set up him, if I'm chopping at his leg so much, he's gonna worry about the leg kicks. He may not see what's gonna come over the top, because we know Jim Miller has knockout power even at his age now. And then when he saw his opportunity to go and take him down, and he got the sub, it was just literally just an all-round impressive performance from him, and it was literally the ideal. It was the ideal scenario. One, he looks good. Two, he took relatively relatively not damage at all,
Right.
and he gets the finish, and now he gets to fight that everyone's been asking him to get. It didn't really matter against who. It's just will he be able to make the card, and he has, and and a lot of people are probably thinking, why is he going to get someone who's ranked? Bobby Green, he's got a name. Why is he ranked? Jim Miller has only lost once in the past few years. Like he's been on really really good form. So
Yep.
you know, okay, cool. He's old, but Jim has been around for a very long time. He also has a lot. He has a lot of records. So and it's only right, UFC 100, UFC 200. We got to see him at 3, and we're gonna get it. But really, really good show for him. Really, very impressive performance.
I mean,
By
dating back to October of 2021, Jim Miller is 5-1 in his last
exactly
6.
5-1.
I mean, he deserves to be there. He's a fan favorite. I'm all for Jim Miller, and he's been fighting his ass off, man. The way he's been fighting has just been incredible, and
And
he's
and
40 years old.
putting people away. It's not as if he's grinding out like he's getting like unanimous decisions and winning points. He's putting people out. He's putting people
Exactly.
away.
He's doing exactly what he needs to do, and he's doing it in impressive fashion. Good for Jim fucking Miller. Nice win. I'm ready to see him back in there at UFC 300. I would be excited to watch that fight between him and Bobby Green. AJ, let's move on to the main event. We both kind of hinted towards it going this way. Magomed Ankaleav with the TKO on Johnny Walker. Is Johnny Walker's ceiling? Is this his ceiling? Contender fights. Is that as high as he can go?
It's frustrating because he had Johnny Johnny Walker has all the talent to be a top contender. Like
Yes.
if you just look, he's 6'5". He's massive for 205. His problem is he lacks focus at
Yeah.
the most important times. At the most important times, because he came out with a really good game plan early on in the first round. He was moving forward and he was pushing Ankaleav back. And against someone who has that kind of relentless pressure and that heavy grappling game, you
Mm-hmm.
you need you need to be first and you need to push them back. You need to have them on the back foot because if you have those guys push forward and back you up against the cage, eventually they will literally grab a hold of you and they will drown you.
Right.
So early on in the fight, he literally had a good game plan. He was pushing forward, he was chopping at Ankalaev's leg. We've seen what obviously Jan did to his leg before, so there is kind of like a blueprint of that. And then kind of like a little bit towards the end of the first round, Johnny Walker was doing the old Johnny Walker stuff. He was
Yeah.
like playing up to the crowd, doing the whole I'm trying to set all these like that dynamic moves, but like not he wasn't really even setting up dynamic moves. It's kind of like like in Tekken when you just when you just mash buttons and you just
Yes.
trying to do like the crazy moves and stuff, and you're not trying to really like set that up, you know. And then in round 2, Ankalaev, he grabs him in the clinch and he uses it to set up a really good overhand right, which as we've seen, that overhand right is kind of Johnny Walker's kryptonite in a sense. We've seen Corey Anderson put him out like that. We've seen Jamal Hill as well, like
Yes.
hit him and land and obviously land on him as well. And yeah, he literally put Johnny Walker out and he literally busted his nose. It was a really, really good shot. He basically follows up. And Ankalaev did what essentially Ankalaev needed to do. He needed to go out there and smoke him. After the past couple of years, past few fights, like the draw, the no contest, he
Yeah.
really needs to go out there and make a statement and not have no more, okay, um, it was a draw. I was dumb and I threw like a knee when he was down. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people well, kind of when Ankalaev kicked Johnny Walker in his cart, people went, "Here we go again."
Yes,
Ankalaev
yes.
kept our patient, and he got the win. It was very impressive. Um, Now it's going to be interesting to see what kind of happens with him next, because to me he is still the best 2-5er in the world. If you're looking at
Yeah.
all round, it's going to be interesting to see how they match him next.
Well, I think it's pretty easy to do though. If Hill's not ready, it's Ankalaev versus Piera. If Hill's ready, it's Pierre versus Hill. Ankalaev gets the winner. I don't. There shouldn't be another fight for Ankalaev. He should just this. He's the guy. If Hill's not healthy, let's go. If Hill's healthy, I'm at the fight, and I'm going to come into the octagon after the fight's over, and I'm going to do the face off. I think we're at this point with this guy. He is the guy. Let's make that decision and let's go forward. What are your thoughts there?
I agree in the sense that he's the guy and he's been long due a title shot. The only thing I will say if Jamal Hill's ready soon to fight, obviously Pereira, that fight happens next, and if Rakic somehow beats Yuri at 300 in a spectacular way, if you get that win against a former champ on a really big card, there is going to be some people saying that Rakic should fight Ankalaev for this title eliminator per se. Personally, for me, I feel like at this point it should be Hill against Pereira, because we kind of need Jamal Hill to kind of get his shot back, because Hill went away, he did the right thing, he literally gave up the belt, he allowed the division to move on the same way Yuri did. We don't know how long that's going to be. So I feel like we need to at least see Pereira defend against Hill first. We just need to know how long or when that's going to be, and then have Ankalaev face the winner. But I will not be shocked if Ankalaev has to fight the winner of Prohaska against Rakic. I personally
Uh,
just would. I personally just wouldn't be shocked at that. I wouldn't be
okay.
shocked at
Here's the thing. Rakic, I think, is a really talented guy, but he lost to Jan. If he beats Yuri, and Yuri's coming off a loss, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm sold on Rakic yet, but I do understand what you're saying. I'm just in the mindset. I think we need to lock in Ankalaev here and go forward. But good fight. Ankalaev gets the win. He sets himself up going forward. Let's move on, AJ, to UFC 297. This is an interesting card. Is there
Be honest.
anything?
Be honest.
I
Interesting
mean,
card. Be honest. Be honest.
it's not great. It's at least Charles Jourdain's fighting on the card. Arnold Allen is back. That's got to be exciting for you. Chris Curtis is in a tough fight against Marc-Andre Barriault. I mean, it's something. Yeah, I know. What are your thoughts on the card?
If you are Canadian and you really love your Canadian MMA and your homegrown stars, you are gonna love this card. I feel like for the more casual fan, for this being the first pay-per-view of the year, it doesn't really excite you like at all. Um, I I feel like people probably would love just to have at least one big, international name on there. I would say, but it doesn't take away from the fact that there, in terms of the main card, it's good. Like, especially if you're someone who kind of watches who watches the UFC week in week out, you will appreciate this card, even though it doesn't have the big names on there.
Yeah.
The prelims, for me, the only fight that really interests me is Charles Jourdain against Sean Woodson.
Yep.
Charles Jourdain doesn't have boring fights. I mean, if you are able to make a fight against Kron Gracie interesting, that basically kind of says it all. And he's faced against a 6'2" featherweight who is an absolute sniper. and Charles Jourdain will literally go forward and will try, and he will do his best to kind of, get in range, and them two are going to fight out, and that's going to be a very interesting fight for me.
Yeah.
But I like the card. I really, really do like the card. It just doesn't have the star power.
It's missing. It's really missing one thing, and like you said, lot of good Canadian fighters on this card. We both shouted out Charles Jourdain. I think he's one of our low key favorite type guys that we love watching. Okay, AJ, let's actually get into it. Anybody on the early prelims you want to give a check this fight out type thing?
I can't. I guess from a homegrown point of view, Sam Patterson's back.
Mm-hmm.
After he got absolutely like smoked in London last year, he
Yeah.
literally got flatlined. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes and bounces back. So I'm gonna have my eye on that fight again. When it comes to early prelims and the feature prelims, the only fight that interests me is Charles Jourdain against Sean Woodson.
Yep.
But is there anything for you that kind of pops out for you that you're quite looking forward to watching?
I like watching Brad Katana fight. We watched his fight. I watched some of his fight. What was it, against Gibson? I believe it was early in August last year. Cody Gibson. The what's the show called? Now I'm drawing a blank on it. Ultimate Fighter.
Ultimate Fighter. Sorry.
Yeah. They fought on the Ultimate Fighter on the Sterling and O'Malley card.
Oh yeah.
I liked watching him fight. I thought he was an interesting fight, so I'll definitely be checking him out. But yeah, like you said, I mean, it's a lot of names. It's a lot of younger fighters. Obviously, Charles Jourdain, we mentioned him a couple times. So yeah, those two fights, Katana and Jourdain, are the two I'm looking forward to most on the prelims. Let's get into the main card, AJ. Your guy Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev. This one is kind of a dream for everyday UFC fans. The hardcores are going to love this one. Tell me about this one.
Oh, we're gonna find out how good Mosar really is. We're gonna find out if this guy who's 17-0, I believe, is like legit. If he's gonna be this future contender, potential champion, we will see today. Because we'll see this on Saturday night, because Arnold Allen hasn't been taken down in a very long time. I think it's been years since someone's even scored like a takedown against him.
Yeah.
And Mosfar doesn't have the most fan-friendly style, because he just gets like decisions. I don't think he has like a finish ever on his record. I believe, if I'm wrong, I do apologize for that. But
it's all decisions. Since he's come to the UFC, it's been all decisions.
So he is very, very effective. He's very, very methodical. He goes out there, he literally goes and grinds you out, takes you down, and smothers you. And so far, no one's been able to figure out the answer. We have seen him in trouble a few times. If you remember, against Hakeem Dawodu. Hakeem Dawodu rocked him a few times on the feet, and we saw what Diego Lopez did in the first round. Mofar was able to obviously overcome that and kind of just overwhelm them eventually.
Yes.
But if he isn't able to take down Allen, he's gonna be in a lot of trouble, because at least to me, Allen is better on the feet and he hits hard for someone at 145 pounds. For Allen, if the other Allen,
stop the takedowns.
Yeah, he has to stop the takedowns. And if the other Allen Default against Max Holloway turns up, he could win very easily, because he actually won rounds off Max. It was literally just that Max was just, Max is Max. We already know how good Max is, and Max is one of the best featherweights in which we've ever seen.
Well, Max overwhelms anybody who's not Volk. So yeah,
exactly. So it's gonna be a case of, whoever 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 wins and dictates the grappling will basically go and win the fight.
Yep.
Um, I've got upset watch. I've got Allen TKO in round two.
Okay. I've also got Arnold Allen winning this fight. Yeah, I got Arnold Allen by TKO also. I'm in the same boat as you are. This is Mavzar's biggest challenge. We've seen him struggle, like we mentioned. Diego Lopez gave him a run for his money, and no disrespect to Diego Lopez, who I'm a big fan of. Arnold Allen is a legitimate threat at the featherweight division. Give me Arnold Allen to win this fight. Next fight, middleweight, Chris Curtis getting the buddy discount on a fight against Marc-Andre Barriault. How do you see this one going down?
This is gonna be a slugfest.
Yeah.
Chris, Chris, Chris is literally all action. There's a reason why he's called Action Man. He goes out there
Yes.
and he just fights. Like he fights his ass off, basically. And he has himself a good dance partner in Brelot who is more than willing to go in there and trade. So I'd imagine
Right.
them two are just going to duke it out. Yeah, like this could be fight of the night. Like this could be one of those them two just literally drag it out over a three round war, or we could see someone getting chinned early.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have much more of a technical breakdown for it. I just imagine both guys as go in there and trade and and that's going to be the fight that kind of really gets the crowd going.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go for the hometown guy. I'm gonna go for the
Yeah.
hometown guy. I
Yep.
literally just have a feeling. I just have a feeling that he's gonna be able just to catch Chris.
Yeah. I'm going with Marc-Andre Barriault also. Big fan, obviously. Give me yeah. Give me the Canadian to beat Chris Curtis by TKO. Next fight, Mike Malott, another strong Canadian performer against Neil Magny. This is a tough fight for Mike Malott. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, Neil Magny only lose against elite comp. If you're gonna look in his last two fights, he kind of lost win, lost win. Like he hasn't he hasn't stringed back to back wins in a while, but he also hasn't stringed back to back losses in a while as well. He only loses against elite guys. If you look at the last three, if you look at looking at the last three people who managed to beat him, he's been Ian Gary. As much as people are giving him shit right now, he's a very talented fighter. It's especially when it comes to the stand up.
Yep.
Gilbert Burns, he choked him out in Brazil around a year ago, and
Yep.
Shavkat, and we all know how good Shavkat is, and all three of those guys are ranked. Matt Malott's good. Matt Malott's on a 6-fight winning streak, all finishes. Um, It's going to be a little bit similar to the Arnold Allen and Mosa fight for me. Whoever's able to detect the grappling is going to win the fight because Matt Malat's grappling is really good. He has really good jiu-jitsu, and Magny's
Yep.
Man is good all round, and he's kind of a thing where if I face get someone who is mainly a grappler, I will go and use my striking to go and navigate the fight, and have good enough wrestling and grappling to kind of keep it at bay. If you face against like a striker, he will go and use his grappling, he's one of those all round guys, who kind of knows how to, who knows when to use what kind of aspect of the game in order to navigate wins. Again, if Matt Malott is elite, as he probably thinks he is,
Yep.
he could go out there and put on a show.
Right.
Um,
AJ, here's something for you to think about.
well,
Neil Magny. Now, while he is 2-3 in his last 5, those 3 losses are to Shavkat, Gilbert Burns, and Ian Gary. Those are guys we consider, upper tier title challenger type guys. So it takes a guy who's in that realm to beat Neil Magny. What are your thoughts on that aspect of it? Is Mike Malott a future contender at that level, or what are your thoughts there?
His grappling is literally top notch. His grappling is
Yeah,
top notch. His striking is okay.
right.
Um, that's the thing. It's gonna
It's
be.
tough.
It's one of those ones where you're going to get someone who's literally only 10-1 against one of the better. I don't want to say gatekeepers, but he kind of is at this point. He's one of the most
Yeah.
savvy veterans, especially at 170 pounds. Gut feeling, gut feeling tells me that Mike Malott is going to catch him in the third round and choke him out.
Okay. I like that pick. I am also going Malott by sub. I just wanted to throw in there. I mean, I think it takes a really good fighter to beat
Mm,
Magny, and I'm thinking Mike Malott's got a shot to be one of these Canadian guys who's up there. So yeah, give me Mike Malott to get the sub victory. Next fight, I'm gonna lead this one with a question. We've got Rockwell Pennington versus Bueno Silva. AJ, have we ever had a somebody come off a suspension into a title fight like this? Besides John Jones, besides John Jones. Usually, you don't get away with this unless you're John Jones.
Um, that's a good question, but I did also see somewhere that 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 Silva was only given 4 months because she came out saying, "I took this. I only take this for." I think she said she took the supplements for her ADHD, and
Okay.
it was a case of again, if I butcher this, if I do butcher this, I do like apologize, but I think it was something along the lines of she didn't she didn't go and send it off towards USADA in time. And then after when they had like a look back at it, that's why she basically only got like 4 months, and the result got overturned to a no contest because normally you will get a long ban, you'll get a hefty
Yeah.
long ban for that. And I feel like that's probably the only reason why she basically only got 4 months. And also Gi- if Gianna Pena wasn't obviously hurt, we may have got her against Pennington instead.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
thought that's where it was
yeah.
going, but then yeah.
So that's probably why. A lot of people are shitting on this fight. A lot of people are just like, they just don't care. Um,
Can I give you some Pennington background though?
Go
I
on.
mean, I think people, we forget, she does have the 5 losses in the UFC, but their losses to Jessica Andrade, that was back in 2014 when Jessica Andrade was dangerous. Holly
Mm,
Holm when she was on top of the world. Amanda Nunes,
that
um,
that kind of says itself. That kind of just
and
speaks for itself.
obviously that one for the title, and then Jermaine Durandaman, the fight after she lost the title fight, and then Holly Holm. So she does pretty well against everybody who's not a champion level fighter. I mean,
Mm.
this one I think's set up for Bueno Silva to win. But what are your thoughts on how this one shakes out?
Bruno Silva has a huge advantage in terms of the jiu-jitsu.
Mhm.
If she's able to grab a hold of you, she's able to end the fight quickly. We saw her choke out Holly Holm with a standing ninja choke. That doesn't happen often. That's
No,
rare. That's
no,
rare to happen. So, for her to be able to pull it off, that kind of shows, how good her submission game is. Raquel Pennington is solid everywhere. I wouldn't say that she's elite in like striking, grappling, wrestling, or like any other aspect of the game, but she's very solid ev, everywhere. It's going to be interesting because if this fight goes 5 rounds, I do favor Pennington because
Yes.
Pennington has that style where like she'll be very patient and she'll kind of just go through the gears and kind of pull and kind of just kind of go out there and just and show why she's been a plus 10-year fighter within the UFC and kind of just take Boyna Silva to take her to school a bit and kind of just
Yeah.
grind it out like that. And if Boyna Silva is able to catch her early, I can imagine her choking out Pennington very early as well.
Right.
It's just a case of, you know, once the fight goes past round 3,
Hmm.
it gets very interesting for me because I'll favor that probably Raquel Pennington is still in, it's probably still in there, and Brenna Silva could maybe starting to fade. We don't know what she's like over 5 rounds. That being said, I've got Silva by submission round 1. I'm putting it out there.
Ooh.
I kind of feel like this. I just have a feeling she'll be able to get her out early. But again, if it goes past round 3, all bets are off.
Okay. All right. I like that. I'm also going Silva by submission. Reason why you mentioned this, we've seen Pennington fight Holly Holm and not go well twice. Buena Silva really put it on Holly. She beat her up on top of choking her out. I think the way she's fighting right now is going to be really, really tough for Pennington to deal with. So yeah, give me Silva to get her out of there in round 2 with submission. And AJ, here we go for the middleweight title: Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis. I totally 100%. If I had to bet my house on it, I'm betting Dricus Du Plessis beats Sean in the first round by TKO.
Ooh.
I don't know what it is, but ever since I saw Dricus beat Rob Whitaker, I just don't think he's going to lose to somebody like Sean Strickland. But then I have to go back and relive Sean versus Izzy, and it's such a wild thing right now. But I am betting the house that Dricus wins this fight by TKO.
Both guys are coming off the best wins of their career.
Yep.
Period. You know, Sean Strickland put in the performance of a lifetime against Izzy, and Dricus ran through Rob. Like there is no, you know,
Demolished him. Demolished him.
I don't want to hear, you know, it was Rob coming off like a bad night. No, Rob was
Doesn't
Rob.
matter.
Dricus literally just ran through him. He just ran through him. I would say this is this fight is gonna really decide on how Dricus approaches the fight because we really know what Sean Strickland is gonna do. He's gonna go into that shelly shell, no
Yep.
Philly shell,
Right.
Philly shell, and kind of
Yes.
just throw out the jab and he wants to go out and box Dricus' head off. And you would probably say that Dricus is Sean is the most cleaner on the feet. It's especially when it comes to the boxing. That does the thing with that as well is that because Sean Strickland fights so upright, that does invite takedowns, and we know that Dricus has that. We saw that when you know he literally just bulldozed Rob and took him down. He did it.
Yeah.
He did it to Darren Till as well. So we know he has that in his basic arsenal. And if Dricus is able to obviously take him down and get on top of him and rain down ground and pound, considering that he's way more powerful. He has concussive shots at 100 and 85 pounds. There is a avenue there, and along with that, we have seen him. He's obviously able to go and get submissions as well. Even though according to a lot of people, Strickland has really good jiu-jitsu on his back. He just doesn't have the wrestling to really put that together. He kind of goes more towards the boxing side of things. I imagine Dricus is going to be very aggressive. He's definitely going to be the more um, um, aggressive between the two. He definitely will come forward. Um, If he does, and if Sean isn't able to make Dricus respect his power, Dricus will just walk him down,
Yeah.
and eventually something will land over time, and he can break him down. If Strickland is able to establish his jab and keep Dricus at bay and potentially piece him up and and there's opportunities there when Dricus is running forward. If he's able to get Dricus maybe ran basically like onto something, and that's when Sean can maybe load up.
Yeah.
There is that avenue for him as well. And we have seen Dricus fade before. I know that he's now fixed his nose and he's breathing, and he said that he has cardio like for days. We haven't seen him over 5 rounds yet. We don't know if by round 3, round 4, round 5, if he tires out. We have seen Sean go 5 rounds. Like he's fought 5 rounds in his last 3 fights, so we know that he has that cardio in him.
And he
You
looked
know,
good for 5 rounds too.
he looks good for 5 rounds. I mean, apologies. He's been in 5 round fights in his last 3, and he's also and in 2 of those he went the distance. So if he's able to wear Dricus down over time, there is an avenue for him to win as well. This one is hard. This one is a very hard one for me because I can definitely see both guys winning. I can see avenues for obviously both guys winning the fight. I am going to flip a coin here. I'm saying Dricus knocks him out in round 2.
Yep, I think that's fair. I liked what you were saying about Sean's avenue to victory. I think Sean has to clip Dricus in the first round, like not put him down or anything. I think he has to clip him and get that respect early, because if we remember back in the Izzy fight, he put Izzy down to a knee, and it was completely different after that. The way the whole fight shifted, and he's going to have to fight a very similar way. But this, unfortunately, against Dricus, it's not as precise and explosive as Izzy, but like he's got that power, but he also can mix in those takedowns. And with Sean standing so straight up, he has that other aspect he doesn't have to worry about against a guy like he did against Izzy. I think that makes it even more important that he catches Dricus with a nice punch and stuns him or something. That way he's got the respect and he's not coming as close, because if he gets in close, I think he gets overwhelmed with Dricus's physical power, and that's going to be a major issue. I'm going to stick with my pick of Dricus. I think he's too much for Sean. This has been a crazy run in a guy's career that I never thought would get here, but I think Dricus wins this, and we move on to Dricus versus Izzy after this. Is that where you think we're going? If Dricus wins, we go Dricus versus Izzy.
Yeah, because there's literally no one else. Yeah. No, the only other person you can say is probably Hamza, but then a lot of people are still in the mindset of you beat someone who moved up to fight you. You know, you didn't face against a legit 185er. And also Dricus versus Izzy, for probably all the wrong reasons, sells and literally like the build up to that alone is going to sell out pay-per-views.
For sure.
And this one could be like a wild one, but if Dricus does knock out Sean Strickland early and takes no damage, I wouldn't be shocked. And this is gonna be like a long shot. I wouldn't be shocked if they make that the main event for UFC 300.
Yeah, again, I mean, if it works, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm totally agree with that. Yes.
Again, long shot. I don't think that happens, but because Izzy said like he said that he will take some time off. He's gonna take like a long time off, but then
6 years.
If you have the chance to headline UFC 300,
got to take it, got to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, AJ. Well, that's our breakdown for UFC 297. We're getting closer and closer to UFC 300, like we mentioned. Do you have anything for us before we get out of here? Maybe a little Korean corner with AJ?
Oh, so I watched Memories of Murder, which is kind of I've been told it's one of the best Korean movies ever, and probably one of the best movies, especially the last 25 years or so. amazing stuff. It's actually based off this real life serial killer in Korea that
Mhm.
was unresolved until 2019 for like over like 30 years.
Wow.
Amazing. Like it's amazing in the sense that it kind of highlights the impact of human error, because you got these detectives trying to find like the serial killer who's literally killing like women,
Yeah.
around. And I don't really say much into it, but like it's just the way that they handle it, and the way that they show it, and it's very bleak, it's very dark, but at the same time it's like it really engages you. So that's a film that I've just been blown away by recently. And a film I watched the other day, it's not Korean, it's a Japanese movie. I've mentioned his name before, Takeshi Kitano. Watched Sonatine recently, but I watched his directorial debut, Violent Cop. Again, just riveting. Seeing like this cop have these unorthodox methods going against like the accuser, but it also
Mhm.
shows like his personal side, the way that because he literally looks after like his sister, but and kind of seeing, that kind of like human side to him beneath all of this hard exterior, and like he's kind of like soulless in a way. Great, great stuff. Yeah, I've kind of been on a very heavy film kick recently. I'm
Yep.
gonna start watching Mad Max. Because
Awesome.
Fury Road is one of my favorite films of all time. I haven't watched the 1, 2, or 3 yet, so I'm gonna get into some Road Warrior.
That'll be fun.
So
Mel Gibson, very good in those movies. Um, well, that's exciting, guys. That's the update on AJ's film corner. And we will obviously be back next week to break down the fights. Everybody have a good week. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time. HOA MMA out.